I remember one Sunday a number of years back, I was preaching at Mass like usual, and after Mass, someone came up to me and complimented me on my homily. And it wasn't just one of those, passing compliments like, thank you, Father, because they took time and they explained how what I had said resonated with their experience and how it had helped them see God at work in their life. Well, I was feeling pretty good about that. And I was kind of secretly, patting myself on the back, kind of bragging to myself about my skill at getting the gospel message across to people. Now, 2 days later, however, a letter came in the mail for me. And it was from a parishioner who was very upset with something I had said in that very same homily. They said that I had completely misinterpreted Jesus' words, and I was almost guilty of preaching heresy. When I read that, I kind of went from that high of feeling like the best preacher in the world to that low of feeling like the worst preacher. Now, that experience is an example from my life of what I call the roller coaster torture. Life is full of ups and downs, like a roller coaster. And that fact is a piece of life's puzzle that we have to deal with in some way. And depending on how we deal with it, it can be either torture or it can be simply another difficult aspect of life to be navigated. So I think we all want to avoid the torture. How do we do that? Well, although we've all experienced the ups and downs of life many times, there seems to be something in us that says that life shouldn't be that way. There shouldn't be those ups and downs. Especially when we encounter the downs, we tend to think there's something wrong. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with the people around me. There's something wrong with the world, with reality, or even something wrong with God for making it all this way. And there's a feeling in us that we must affix blame for what is wrong. Who did this? Now, we then find ourselves living in a reality and in a world that we see as bad, as flawed, as wrong, as eternal suffering. And also, we have to live with whoever we blame for making the world that way. And we can't do anything about it. We're helpless. Now, if we see everything that way, there's no way to be happy to be in that kind of a world. That is a tortured existence. Now, to lessen the torture, a person has to change or tweak their thought that things shouldn't go up and down. We think that, but we have to tweak that. We have to change that somehow. Now, this can be done by, consciously, looking over the past, looking backwards, and we see, what do we see? We recognize that ups and downs have always been there and are, in fact, quote, normal. Just like weather can be sunny or it can be rainy. It doesn't make the up-down experience any more pleasant to realize that. But it can help eliminate the unpleasant belief that we live in a flawed universe, something wrong universe, that was built simply to torture us. We also cause ourselves unnecessary suffering when we experience an up and believe that we can hold on to it, that it will last forever. Oh, we've got it made now. Now, if we nurture that illusion, if we hold on to that, we can be doubly devastated when life's roller coaster takes the inevitable dive to the bottom. Ridding ourselves of that illusion, enables us to enjoy the ups when they last, but not participate in the futility of trying to make them last forever. Attempting the impossible in that way is a major source of frustration and self-torture. Now, on the flip side, having a solid sense that nothing ever remains the same can make the downtimes less torturous. When we experience difficult times, the thought feeling arises that it will be that way forever. It often feels that way. But that thought can, exponentially increase our worry and our suffering and our pain. Dealing with the difficulty in the present moment feels awful enough. That's a big enough challenge. But if you think it will never end, that it's going to go on into the future forever, then we're apt to feel awful about our entire future. And that is real torture. Change is the only constant in the universe. All things pass. Holding on to those truths can lessen the pain and suffering of life's roller coaster dips. Now, there will always be ups and downs in life. We can't get away from that. And the ups will always feel better than the downs. I don't think we'll ever feel wonderful when we're in down moments. But how we look at and how we think about the roller coaster of life will determine whether we experience torture being in this life, or we will experience the normal, ordinary, and sometimes unpleasant flow of life.